Have you ever wondered if there is a difference between being a business owner and a business leader? On today's episode, I'm going to break it down so you can understand how both influence your business. Enjoy. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. My name's Max, I am your host. Thanks for joining me. If you're in YouTube land or podcast land, great to have you with me. Bit of housekeeping as usual, like and subscribe. Get across to Business for Builders VIP on Facebook. Answer the 3 questions. Guys, I know there's good dudes and good dudettes there that have just hit hey join and they haven't answered the questions. I need to just make sure. So if you've put it out there from last week or the week before last month and I haven't let you in, odds on is I just need you to go back there and answer a couple of the questions. Super basic, very relevant to you as a trade contractor or builder in this arena. So what else have I got to do? If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me on email, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com. If you want to chat to me real briefly about business coaching, jump on, book a consultation on the elitebusinessadvisory.com website. And if you can't find a spot, email me and I'll make some room for you. Just recently we've kicked off, you might remember, if you're new in the room, I'm sorry, just give me a second. I've mentioned the EBA Young Guns before. Now, I've actually just sort of tweaked that a little bit. So if you're interested in the EBA Young Guns, where I've tweaked the approach a little bit. I'm interested to know whether or not you'd want some more information. If you want some more information about that, you've got to email me, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com, and I will shoot you some information as it relates to that. If you've been in the game a little while, if you've been in the game 30 years, you're probably not interested in that. But if you're looking to launch the business or you're looking to improve the way, you might have been in business a couple of years. If you're looking to improve the way that you do business, then the EBA Young Guns Coaching on Demand program could be very suitable for you. What else? I think that's about the long and the short. Righto, today, as usual, I want to give you the steak and potatoes. Now, on the board behind me, the business ownership and leadership, okay? They are not the same thing, okay? So I'm going to quickly chat with you today and try and just get you to understand that ownership is fairly passive. Leadership, however, is very active, okay? Because you can be an owner and kind of be sitting back there and not doing anything or not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and the business is starting to suffer. So I want to make sure that we sort of start to understand our role as the business owner, but also as the leader in the business. So it's not just about doing the work, it's about leading your company effectively. Over here, the goal is what? More profit. I'm not sure if you can see that. Better lifestyle, okay? We want time and money in equal measures. We want the time to spend the money and the money to spend the time. So currently, if you've got more time than money, then you're sitting there going, well, I've got lots of time, but I haven't got the money to enjoy it. And vice versa, a lot of you guys could be making some kick-ass money, but you haven't got the time because it's all on you, right? So what we want to do is create a balance. Now, if you've got one of those extremes, odds on is it's because you lack control. And of course, the byproduct of disorder is chaos. So your life's a little bit chaotic because every day you're out there fighting fires and you think a year later, I was doing this last year, right? So what we want to do is move into the control zone, whereby the control has come about as a byproduct of having order. So systems, good people, all of that sort of thing. Right, so I'm going to focus on 3 things that you and I, as a business leader, not so much the business owner. We are a business owner by default, but it doesn't automatically mean that we're a business leader, okay? I've even seen some guys be a bad business leader. So their leadership needs some work, right? So what we want to understand is the difference. So I'm going to chat with you real quickly today. I'm going to run through these points in 15 or 20 minutes. Touch wood. I've heard that before. And really what it comes down to is these 3 things. I'll get these going. The first one is vision. The second one is acquisition. And the third one, first one, second one, and then the third one is decision. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a shun thing going on here, right? And so really what we're talking about is I want to try and just crack it open and show you or talk to you about or help you with understanding that the differences between being active in the business on an operational side of things and being a business leader and more of a CEO, I guess, for a quirky term, right? Obviously, I'd held that position, with Smithies in Canada, and so I understand a little bit about that. And so this takes me back to that time where that was all I did. My job wasn't to get involved in operations, frontline per se. It was more about the three things that we've talked about: vision, acquisition, and decision. So let's just chat real quick. Vision, right? So what we're trying to figure out is we want to be able to define the direction of the business, okay? So when we're talking about the business growth, we're talking about the culture within the business, and we're talking about how we go about positioning the business. And that's all on us. So just by the term vision, that's not tangible. It's an intangible. Matter of fact, a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is intangible. It's not like, here it is, the pen. No. When I talk to you about vision, it's very much tied to strategic planning. So strategic planning is just a matter of taking limited resources, time and money, and applying that to activity, focusing on unlimited opportunity, right? So it's all about you and I as business owners thinking about the end game or thinking about the business in 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and say, where do I want the business to be? What do I want my lifestyle to look like? Okay, and a lot of that is going to be founded or based or connected to what it is that you want as a business owner, right? And so when you are not clear in your vision, then you don't know where you're going. Now, and because you don't know where you're going, you don't know what the next thing to do is. So me as a business coach, as a CEO, as a business owner, okay, as a construction business owner, it's my job to make sure that I know where I'm leading my business. That's why ownership and leadership are two different things. Right. Further to this, when you've got the vision, you've got to make sure that the team, there's a buy-in, okay? And that means there's got to be some sort of connection. There's got to be chemistry, right? But the minute you have chemistry, but there's got to be trust as well. I've had chemistry with guys that have ripped me off, okay? So what happens is you get chemistry, and then sometimes you don't understand the sinister nature of some humans, and therefore you automatically feel like you can trust them because you've got good chemistry, and then they screw you and you're like, missed it, right? And I've done that enough times to know that that's exactly how it happens. Now, the power with having a clear vision also is that when you are going through some valleys, and no doubt you're either in one right now, or you've been through one, or you're going to end up in one, it's the clarity of vision that will help sustain you through the valley of despair. And I'm no different to you. I go through challenges. I go through times in my business life where I go, yeah, not really happy to be, doing this right now. I think I might just go and work at the local hardware and just take the stress away, right? Now, that moment in time, I know what I'm called to do. I'm called to be involved in business. I'm called to make a difference in the construction business world. That's why I do what I do here. Right, part of the vision has to be some level, really I think as a business owner, you've got to be able to delegate. And if we are talking about these three things, there's vision, acquisition, and decision. When you're on the front line, doing stuff, right, literally producing the end result, delivering the product, if you like, it's really difficult to sit there and have that moment where you're just looking at the activity in the business and going, is this taking us in the right direction or is it not? Okay, so essentially vision is the top of the pyramid, if you like. Without that vision, it's easy for you to go off track. It's easy for you to lose your way. It's easy for you to lose your motivation. Okay, so it's really important that you make sure that we focus on exactly what's important. And obviously that is the first thing. Right, the second thing is acquisition, but it's also for you as your business leader in your business, this is where it comes down. When I talk about in your construction business, the last two things you're going to give up is estimating and sales. And here's why. Because deal making is what keeps the business alive. Okay? I have a business partner and he will tell you, if Jed was sitting right there, he would tell you he is not the deal maker. I am the deal maker. Because we had lunch 2 days ago now and we sat down and we were talking about a few deals that are going on and I showed him some text message that I have had between me and a client, and it was a little bit prickly, let's say, okay? And I said, because that's what it takes to do a deal. See, I'm all about pleasing the clients, but I'm not going to take any bullshit. Even clients need business coaching. Not that I'm going to give it to any of my clients. I'm just saying what they do sometimes, they get it wrong, and they get it wrong in a big way. And because of that, there's a part of me for a microsecond that gets offended. I'm like, you. Now, I don't say that, and I don't type that, and I don't execute off the back of that, but that's how I feel. So it's up to me to take the higher ground and go, right, I'm going to firmly and courteously explain to the client that I did what he said I didn't do, and I proved that, okay? And of course, the next phone call that we had was, we've got to stop that text messaging. It was getting a little bit intense. And I'm like, yeah, it was. Anyway, okay, right. So we're talking about deal making. So for me, and you can this is me telling my story, I focus on generating and securing profitable projects. I spend a lot of time around relationship building, negotiation, closing deals. If you want to close a seven-figured contract, it's probably going to take you more than a couple of weeks. I just come back from a client, a brand new lead, and he wants to do a small kitchen project, and he's only got 20 grand. Well, I said it's going to be more like 25 or 30. It's pretty straightforward, but it's still going to cost more money than what he wants. But that I got in and got out in less than 20 minutes. And so, for me, the relationship is not dead, but I did put it out there in such a way that I said, right at the beginning of the conversation, I said, here's where it's going to go. You're either going to be able to find more money or we don't do a deal. Like I said, they're the outcomes. See, because I was trying to say is, it's not my problem you don't have enough funds. And you know what I said to him? I said, maybe you just got to, this is exactly what I said to him. I said, maybe we just got to give another 12 months and you got to save some more rubles and we'll come back next year and do it. And he's like, oh no, you don't understand. It's my mum that wants to move in here and I don't want her hanging around in my kitchen. That's why I'm doing this one down here. So all of a sudden now the sense of urgency crept up and I was able to actually move him from his initial budget indication up 25% in about 10 minutes, okay? So that's what I'm talking about, closing or doing deals, closing deals. Right, so we don't want to get lost in the micro of operations, okay? So I have a hard time with this because I love construction. Matter of fact, we're about to do some improvements here and I've got a bobcat sitting out there and there's about 20 cubic meters of crush or road base that I've got to start spreading around. So as soon as I get these podcasts done, I'm out of here. Okay, so that's called getting involved in the micro. Don't do it, or try to avoid it, try to minimize it, or try to slowly downscale by delegation, okay? Right, now here's the other thing too. As far as acquisition and deal making, you've got to be able to understand which deals to pursue versus which deals to kick to the curb nicely, right? Because what you've got is, you really, you've got leads, move into deals which equal revenue. Now, obviously the amount of revenue is questionable. If we want more profit and better lifestyle, you better make sure that your pricing model, right, is good. Like how do you put that together? Do you know your fixed expenses? Do you know how much your business costs you to run? Are you paying yourself the minimum amount? And I think if you're not paying yourself 60 grand or more, you're really not running a serious business. And don't give me this BS about, well, I'm just trying to reduce tax. No, you're not. You haven't got the balls to be able to sell at the right level to make enough money off the back of your pricing model. That's why you don't have a business with more profit, and that's why you don't have an enjoyable lifestyle. That should get some hate mail. Be nice. Come on, you know I've been around here long enough. What are we, episode 254 or something here? Okay, cool. So number 3, let's try and wrap this up in pretty decent time here. Now, decisions I'm talking about, I would love to have a room full of people here and go, when I'm talking about decisions made by the business leader or the CEO, what do you think I'm talking about? Decisions around roadblocks and bottlenecks. That's your job. So remember, we've got to have the vision for the business. We've got to be able to and get involved in the acquisition, the high ticket items, right? Figure out which deals we're going to chase. Make sure the pricing model's right. Speak to the value. Always be consistent. Start well, finish strong. You know, we've just started this big job, you know, on the other side of the lake, and of course the client's 2 days, 1 day in, is already worried because he's got his cameras going and he's like, there's no trucks and there's no bins and there's no activity. What's going on? So, you know, I'll have my work cut out. And that is the other benefit, right? Because my business partner, Jed, doesn't take the heat for that. I take the heat. I'm the one, because I've been with this character all the way through the last 8 months to do the deal. So the day we sign the contracts, get the down payment, basically go there for the first day, he's already doing a bit of micromanaging. See? But Jed didn't really know about that. I did send him the screenshot that the client said to me going, I can see on my phone that nobody's at the house. I said, Jed, keep your eyes out for those cameras, pal. I know you guys don't have clients like that, but I do. Okay. Right, so what we want to do is in our decision making, so avoid the roadblocks. Let's go here. Decisions around roadblocks, bottlenecks, and also think about friction within your business, okay? Now, I'll give you an example of friction. I might have told this story last time, so if you heard this, sorry. Is that I gave the client a 42-page selection sheet. I told them at the beginning they should get a designer. I didn't insist on it, and I'm now bearing the consequences of that. But what's happened is now I'm forced to go to construction with some clauses in my contract that make mention that the specifications are in production, essentially. And we don't have to go and modify contracts and get more signatures. When the specifications are built, we'll basically send that on DocuSign and get an autograph, and we'll just keep moving on. But what that's done is now it's created friction in my execution, because if I want to order plumbing supplies right now, I can't. Why? Because I don't know what they are. That's friction. I cocked that up. I should have insisted. What I should have done, and here's what happens, right? Me as the business leader, always asking, what could I have done better, right? If I go anywhere near a job that's decent size, that is more complex as far as the selections are concerned, I am going to take a copy of the selection sheet and say, this is an example of what you might have to do if you think you're going to do the design and the selections on your own. And at that point, my next phone call will probably be to my designer to go, I've got you another job. And further to that, on my plan desk here, as well as on my plan desk, I'm going to roll up these plans, and we've got a home show coming up in 4 weeks. And I'm going to lay out a plan desk similar to what I got, probably not that desk because it's too hard to move around, but I'm going to lay out the plans, the engineering, and full-size drawings. Now, for the Aussies and the Kiwis, I can probably tell you what it is, 36 by 24 inch. So that's about 900 mil by 600 mil, right? These are big plans, pretty typical. And I'm going to just roll them out, and I'm going to have a copy of the selection sheets as well, because it's going to be good for people to hang around and have a look at, because they probably have never seen blueprints or drawings in that regard, right? I don't even know how I got onto that, but we want to make sure that I and you are not creating friction in our business. That's kind of where I went. Right, identify the bottlenecks in operations, finance, marketing, and production. So Jed and I will talk often, every other day, every second day at minimum. And mate, how you doing? What's going on there? Are we getting this sorted out? Because we are good at bouncing off each other. Because now, if you know me, if you're one of my elite business clients, you'll know the 2 C's, right? This is what I'm looking for. This is kind of irrelevant, but you'll get it. The 2 C's, right? All the EBA clients that have been with me, this is what I focus on. Usually from about the 15th to the 20th of the month, this is what I'm looking for. First one is claims. The second one is contracts. Why? Because they're both worth dollars. Okay, when I'm trying to hit my target at the end of the month to cover my fixed expenses and to pay my bills, I need the cash flow from those 2 situations, right? So we've got to make sure that we're not the bottleneck in the delivery that stops us getting to claim stages. Right, remove the obstacles that slow down cash flow, just talked about that. Make clear, timely decisions to keep the momentum. Money loves speed, right? I've always said this. Boy, I wish, with a 7-figured contract, if I could just click my heels and wiggle my nose and that job's finished, and I could get my 7 figures, pay out my 6 figures, and have, a couple of hundred left over, mate, we'd be happy, but that's not how it happens. Part of our craft is that we do have to oversee the scope of work. Final thing here, as it relates to decision making, is foster an environment where issues are flagged early. I'm always asking Jed, I'm always asking, our lead foreman carpenter, I'm always talking to myself, what can I do better? Like I said, I'll give the selection sheet out first to really, overwhelm them when they flick through it and go, crikey, that's a lot of selections. We might need to get a designer. That is what I'm talking about, right? So you want to make sure, obviously, that, if you identify a bottleneck and then you move into the decision phase and you figure out what's going wrong and you look at ways to improve that, and then you remove or reduce the friction, then the flow in that aspect of the business is now restored. Remember, friction generates heat and creates drag, neither which are good for business. Remember, if money likes speed, drag is not good. Okay, it's slowing things down. Okay, so really, guys, in conclusion, guys and gals, with all of that considered, we want to make sure that we focus on the vision acquisition, deal making, friction reduction, and make sure that we're delegating. Now, what I'd encourage you to do is that you don't need to be delegating today if you're a one-man band. What I'm trying to do, remember, it's about awareness, education, and then accountability. So depending on where you're at, it's going to be different for everybody, okay? So look, I hope that helps out. If you've got any questions, email me, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com. If you want to chat to me about business coaching and on a consistent basis, or you want to talk about EBA Young Guns, coaching on demand, a different program for startups, pre-launch even, or newer businesses, maybe between up to 5 years old. Get on that, book a consultation. Let me chat to you about that, and let me demonstrate to you how I might be able to get you sorted out. Get across to Facebook VIP. Answer the 3 questions, I'll let you in. Like and subscribe here on YouTube. If you've got any comments, drop them below. Me or the team will get back to you. Go build a kick-ass business. See you in the next episode. Cheers.